Police and fire service say they are on a manhunt for the driver of a fuel tanker which went up in flames over the weekend around the Kaswa toll booth. It is reported the fuel tanker loaded with fuel broke down in the middle of the highway and went up in flames when the driver attempted to pull up to safety. The situation caused massive vehicular congestion on the stretch for hours as firefighters struggled for nearly 5 hours to douse the flames. The remains of the tanker is yet to be towed from the location, but preliminary investigations by the fire service revealed the lack of fire safety education on the part of the driver and the conductor leading to the explosion. No casualties were recorded. The public relations officer for the Ghana National Fire Service, Prince Billy Anaglate, tells JoyNews the driver and his conductor are at large.
I had a call, the distress call at 21:50 hours. That was a fire on a petrol tanker at Waja, the toll booth area. When we dispatched our first tender, they got there. Looking at the situation, they called for assistance, and additional 3 firefighting agents were deployed to assist. It took the firemen about 4 hours to totally extinguish the fire. With our preliminary investigation, we saw that the long shaft under the car got one side of it got loose and removed from the locking, and that was what was dragging on the road with the car moving. So as it was dragging on the road, there were sparks. There were sparks that were coming due to the friction on the road. At the time that it was giving out, you agree that there was a leakage, there was a spilling, there was a leakage on the tanker itself. So that was what exactly started the fire and has, gotten to affect the whole car. So the driver also managed to push the car a little bit off the road, on the rail, before the whole car caught fire. We were not able to trace the fire yesterday, but the whole car got burnt, and we are still investigating to know whereabouts of the driver for him to answer a few questions.
There's more to flowers and gardens than just beautifying our lawns, our homes and our offices. Ghana, according to the CEO of Strategic Communications Africa, Esther Koba, could position itself as a preferred tourist destination if the country pays more attention to horticulture. She was speaking at the 2017 Garden and Flower Exhibition here in Accra.
The ongoing Ghana Garden and Flower Show, which is also the 5th edition of the show since its inception, has seen great turnout as over the years the bid to create awareness on horticulture and floriculture manifests in some Ghanaians. The fair, which is an initiative of Strategic Communications Africa Limited Stratcom, also seeks to boost Ghana's tourism value in the global market by making the country more attractive.
The passion is to bring these together, think together with other partners and stakeholders, and come up with a floriculture and horticulture industry from which we can eat, we can have a beautiful country, and we can stay healthy, and our country will also be clean and our environment well kept. So this is what is driving us. And as a communications company, we know that you need to create knowledge about these things for attitudes to change and for the right behaviors to come about.
The Ghana Garden and Flower Show is designed to create awareness among Ghanaians about the commercial, aesthetic, environmental and health benefits of horticulture and floriculture. It also promotes fun and relaxation. Themed Flower Ghana, Grow Ghana, the show, which was launched 3 months ago, is a 5-day event which started on August 31st and is expected to end on September 5th. Products useful to florists and horticulturists, botanists, homeowners, real estate developers and garden and flower lovers, including flower pots of different shapes, are on display at the Efua Sutherland Children's Park in Accra.
Government has been urged to rethink and restructure its arbitration procedures in order to save the state avoidable debts running into millions of cedis. According to a law professor at the Thompson Rivers University based in Canada, several disputes involving the government of Ghana and its international partners in commerce have resulted in huge debts, causing financial loss to the state. Professor Richard Frimpong Opong has been speaking at his inaugural lecture here in Accra.
In the construction pioneers arbitrations, the claimants attempted to enforce their awards in Belgium, France, and the United States. However, the settlement that was reached in March 2010 resulted in the abatement of those proceedings. More recently, the claimant in the Balkan arbitration has sought to enforce its awards in the United States. According to the claimant, and I'm quoting from the petition, the Republic of Ghana has refused to pay any of the amount it owes under the award, unquote. In fact, on the 29th of June 2017, while the U.S. action was pending, the claimant was able to obtain an order from a South African High Court attaching the shares of the government of Ghana in Anglo Gold Ashanti. The construction pioneer settlement, the petition to confirm the Balkan award in the United States, and the order from the South African High Court with respect to the Balkan award reveal that in both disputes, the government did not satisfy the awards immediately after they were issued. This failure to satisfy the awards on time has allowed significant interest to accumulate on the awards and resulted in significant financial loss to the state. The awards dating back to 2004 and other undisputed but unpaid claims had raised 162 million euros. The Attorney General negotiated a global settlement of 94 million euros to settle all the CP claims. In the Balkan arbitration, the award ordered the government to pay $11.7 million plus cost and interest to Balkan Energy Ghana Limited. As at the time the petition to confirm the award was filed on the 31st of March 2017 in Washington, D.C., the amount due was $13.3 million. There appears to be no good reason for Ghana to be saddled with these additional debt resulting from the accumulation of interest. Like a judgment debt, an arbitration awards attract interest at a rate defined in the award.
And Professor Opong recommends that government also engage the services of local firms with the expertise in international arbitration to support the Attorney General's department.
It has been suggested in this lecture that a provision in government contracts dealing with the cost of arbitration and how they are to be allocated should be a standard feature of government contracts. Once an arbitration claim is submitted against the government must actively engage in all aspects of the proceedings. There have been instances in which the government's participation in arbitration proceedings have been unsatisfactory. These include lack of full participation in the proceedings, the failure to appoint arbitrators, the failure to retain counsel early in the process to prosecute the government case. There is the need to appoint persons knowledgeable in Ghanaian law or persons from legal systems akin to the Ghanaian legal system as arbitrators for the government. The instances in the past in which the government failed to exercise its right to appoint an arbitrator should be avoided in the future. There is the need to engage local counsel or firms with expertise in international arbitration to complement the work of the Attorney General's Department and any foreign counsel or firm that may be retained by the government. There is need to repose greater confidence in local counsel and firms when it comes to dealing with international arbitration claims. It appears from a review of the existing awards and practices that the government, and to some extent, the Ghana Bar, have voluntarily farmed out the practice of international arbitration to foreign attorneys. This must be avoided.
Nuclear energy is the most regulated system in the power sector and therefore guarantees safety of users and the environment. That's an assurance from the Nuclear Energy Coordinator, Dr. Robert Sobaji, as Ghana prepares to deploy nuclear power into her supply mix by 2027. He says enough public safety measures are already in place.
The Radium Therapy Center at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital is the oldest radiotherapy center in Ghana. Set up in 1992, it employs manual loading technique in the treatment of cancers which expose workers to some level of radiation. In 1996, the center was decommissioned and a radioactive substance known as cesium-137 was introduced to reduce the risk. Head of Medical Physics Eric Addison tells me about the new system and its environmental protection level.
What we intend doing now is to change from the low dose rate to the high dose rate. We'll be using cobalt to treat, but it's a high dose which will involve just some few minutes and we treat them in fractions. With the external beam, we now have a cobalt which was installed in 2002, and that's what we're using as our external beam radiotherapy for our patients. And that one, the wall thickness in terms of safety is about 1.2 meters. We have a LINAC which we are going to install from November, December, we should start installation. And the wall thickness for the primary wall for the LINAC is 2.6 meters. And then the secondary scatter radiation wall is 1.6 meters.
Despite the assurance, many people have raised questions about the safety of nuclear energy. Professor Ayokuye of Kumasi Technical University Chemical Engineering Department allays such fears.
Our body radiates, but the level doesn't injure us. At some point in time in our lives, too, we've been to the hospital, we have used X-rays, which is the most common thing that people use, and we don't die off. So it's not as dangerous as it's being portrayed. Yes, it is true that, well, the first impact globally nuclear had on people was the atomic bomb. But a lot of things have now been done to say, look, what makes it possible to have those bombs are no longer feasible in the real sense of it.
Let's see whether it will do the blocking.
Ghana's unstable hydroelectric power sources have compelled the Energy Ministry to explore nuclear energy into the national mix. Initiated in 2005, the Ghana Nuclear Power Organization was formed in 2012 to steer affairs and plan towards concretization. The International Energy Agency has reviewed phase 1 of the project. Dr. Robert Sobaji is coordinator of the nuclear power project.
By our roadmap, we should be able to integrate nuclear by 2027 or 2030. Nuclear energy is the most regulated energy sector in the whole energy systems. When you take hydro, gas thermal, solar, wind, there's no sector regulated than nuclear, because with nuclear, as your national regulator is controlling you, the international body is also controlling and also making sure things.
Kumasi Technical University and its partners have held an international workshop on nuclear security and safety. Collaborators are the African Center for Science and International Security, Nuclear Regulatory Authority of Ghana, a School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences. The training seeks to educate media practitioners and decision makers on security issues related to nuclear energy application. Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
And did you know that spices not only just excite your taste, but also are composed of impressive list of essential oils, minerals and vitamins that are essential for your overall wellness. And spices have been an integral part of our food for centuries, and today even have become more relevant for us in medicine and even in the area of spirituality. We'll find out more in this report put together by MFA Nancy Jradosi when she visited a spice shop at the Nemo Market here in Accra.
Quote that the taste of your life
depends on the spices that was used to brew it up. Same can be said for food, that the taste of your food depends on the kind of spices that you mix together to make it up. So we are here today at the Nima market. To be precise, we are the Hamdallah enterprise. We are here to find out the health benefits of the spices to our lives. Sales attendant Naimatu Abdurrahim takes us through some of the spices and tells us there are inexpensive ways to add flavor to food without extra fat, calories, sodium, and cholesterol.
This is cinnamon.
Okay.
We use it as spices in cooking. And it's also sayare or BP. And as also reduce fat. It's good for men. It makes them strong in bed. Okay.
So let's talk about this one. Which one is this?
This one is bay leaves. It gives flavor to food. Just spread it in the stew and that's all. This one is close. It has so many use. Into no so obi or like obi foka and so of fear. Wait me put in warm water for about 30 minutes before you go on your long journey.
Naimatu tells me that sesame seeds are very essential as they cure night blindness.
Sesame seed, someone who is suffering from night blindness.
So with this one, is it that you just basically just add it to water and take oil?
We just chewing it like that.
Besides their medicinal benefits, some also provide spiritual help. You would want to look out for these black seeds as they give you protection from evil spirits.
If you do just grind it, now they are mixing honey. Akolako school na like now dream on that a buono a it's also air palm evil spirits. Oh, I tried that. Me tried the beer. Obi beto bi kura me timi sabina.
Madame Etonam is a regular consumer of natural spices. She tells us the reason for her choice.
I bought star anise. They are all natural spices, which is very good. It doesn't give you any sickness like kidney problems, stomach cancer, or anything of that nature. Yeah, so I'm going to blend them and use for cooking. Yeah.
Naimatu Abdurrahim had a piece of advice for consumers of foreign and artificial spices.
Local ones.
I will prescribe the local spices because the monosodium is just too much in the manufactured ones. If you usually buy food from outside, it is advisable to use natural spices to cook at home.
So make sure so you see natural ones and all the.
So certainly after this, I'm sure that your food, should taste better with the natural spices that God has given us. But for me, here at the Nima market, MFR Nancy Dradosi reporting for Joy News.
And that's MFR Nancy Dradosi. But that'll be it for the latest news update we have.